Hi all, Karthik here from Design School by Wpalgoridm. In this video, I'll show you how you can create custom registration WordPress page all by using native Elementor Pro forms and dynamic content for Elementor plugin. It's quite easy and you can design your register form visually using Elementor Pro form. I'll show you how that works. So the first thing is open up your website. On your dashboard, let's create a new page, and this page has to be an actual page but not an Elementor template because we need user to access this. So I'll just say register. I'll click on edit with Elementor. It will take us to the Elementor interface. Also make sure you have dynamic content for Elementor installed. Under Elementor dashboard, there's a separate entry for dynamic content plugin. This is a separate plugin. It's by Dynamic.ooo. You can get that from the link in the description. I'll just click on dynamic content, and under extensions we need to make sure that save is enabled and click on save extensions, otherwise this won't work. Okay, now that we're on this page, since this is a registration page, also this is going to be a front end form, meaning anyone can come visit our website and register and he can become a part of our website. So we're essentially building a front end registration form. I'll first start with the layout. I'll click on the settings cog at the left corner of the page. I'll change the page layout to Elementor canvas so that I don't have header and footer on this page because I just want the registration form and nothing else. Now I'll just say form, and this is Elementor Pro form. I'll just click and drag it. Now what are the fields that we need for user registration? When you click on add user in your dashboard as an admin, you'll see all the fields that are required. Username is required, email is required, and obviously password. If you don't pick a password, it will be auto generated, and website, first name and last name. We'll start with username, email, website and password, and we'll see how that works. So the first will be username and the type will be text. Email type will be email, and let this be the same, and this field should be website, so it can be URL. I'll just call it website. I'll remove the page holder or placeholder from here. I'll say website, or let's call it URL. It doesn't matter, you can call it anything. And the last field should be a password field, right? We want user to set his own password. I'll call it password advanced. Now there is an important task or an important step while doing this. I'll show you what that is. So let's register a user, assuming that everything will work. So on actions after submit, I'll remove email. All I want to do is to save. Once you pick save, this is an action provided by dynamic content plugin. You can go to save. So once you pick save from actions after submit, you go to save and you click on user, and you can leave all these as is. And under meta, we've already made a video on how to map Elementor form entries to backend using custom fields. This one works similar. Just click here and pick all the fields that we just created. So for password, let's change the ID of the password field to password. I'll click on form fields. I'll click on password. I'll change the ID to password. Okay, I'll go back to save. I have to pick all the fields because all the fields need to be entered and all the fields need to be mapped and properly put in the newly created user's profile. You can see I can pick username, and this has to be the shortcode of the username, which is this is the shortcode. I have to copy it from here, go to save, have to paste the username here, and field ID, it is password, right? And user role, let us make him an author. You can also pick author login, but anyway, we'll just pick this one. I'll hit publish. Now I'll go back to dashboard and see the URL of this page. It can be accessed with URL wpfreedom / that slug. So it's register. I'm okay with it. If you want, you can simply change it to register here or anything you want. I'm fine with the slug. So I'll just click on Safari, open up, and I'll hit my website.com register. I'll start entering some content. I'll pick a username. Let's pick a password, email, and if the username already exists, it will tell me that the username exists. If it's not, it will successfully register. And website, since we've picked URL, let's see what happens when I pick apple.com and click on send. It says enter a URL, so you have to enter the protocol as well. So if it's HTTP or HTTPS, even in Elementor, you have to enter the proper URL. Once we pick all the fields that we want, you can simply click on send. Now everything looks fine to us, right? The user is successfully registered. It says form was successfully sent. Let's try that. I'll try logging in with the following credentials. I'll go to WP admin. If you have a custom login page, you can go to that URL. So I'll try that credentials. It doesn't seem to work. It's giving me an error in password. Right? Why did this happen? It happened because we didn't map the fields properly. So in order to map the fields properly, we have to understand what the ID of those fields should be. So you have to understand a bit of the database stuff here, not technical. I'll just show you what it is. So the problem here was the IDs of these fields. So this ID is not properly being mapped to the backend, and while creating the user, this password is not being set there, right? So what are the fields and what are the IDs that we need to map to? Well, it's quite simple. You can open up your website. You can open up, since this is a local install, I'll just go to database. I'll click on open adminer. It will open up my database. Don't be scared. It's quite easy. I just want to show you the IDs of the fields that you have to map to. So I'll just click a table which says WP underscore users. It can be anything before underscore. So it can be WPGA, WPMF, whatever prefix you add while creating WordPress, it will be that prefix. After that, underscore and then users. I'll click on this table and I'll click on show structure. So this is the structure, and basically you need to map them to these IDs. This is a local install, and you can also verify this. WordPress will essentially create these tables, not any software. When you install WordPress, it will create tables. And here's my live server, and you can open up your live server. You can go to your control panel or AMP in InMotion hosting. Click on cPanel. Ask your host how to log into your cPanel. Maybe you'll have separate credentials for those. Just click on cPanel and scroll down and click on phpMyAdmin. I'm just showing you that no matter which kind of platform or which kind of hosting you use, these tables are essentially the same. Now this is my website, which is top 10 WP. This is just a schema of how to do things. I'll just click on this table. Don't worry, we're not going to change anything. I just want to show you the IDs, and from here we have to pick the table that has, you can see all the tables have a prefix of WPGA. We'll pick the users table, which is this one. I'll click on it. I'll go to structure, and here's our IDs. So these are the IDs that we need to map to in the front end. As you can see, the username is nothing but user underscore login, and the user password is user underscore password, and user email is user underscore email, and user URL, which is your website URL, is user underscore URL. So if we enter these IDs when creating a user, it will be properly created. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see that it's the same for local and live servers. I'll go to advanced. This is user underscore login. It's quite common. You just have to understand that the ID of this should be user underscore login, and the ID of this, just blindly type it, user underscore pass. The email should be user underscore email, and the website should be user underscore URL. Once you do that, all the fields will be properly mapped. Again, you have to click on save, and you have to pick all the fields: user login, user and password, user email, and user URL. Now the username should be the short code from here. So I'll copy, I'll go to save, paste. This is user underscore email, and this is user underscore password, right? Or user underscore pass, and you can pick the default role for the user created. I'll hit update. In order to view the form, you have to open up a browser where you're not logged in. I can simply close all of these. I can go to my registration page again, so it refreshes. I'll just close the rest of the pages. Now I'll register with a new user, a username, a password, email, and URL. Let's click on send, and the form was sent successfully because the username doesn't exist, which is why a user is created. Now let's try logging in with the same credentials. So the password I set for that user was John, username was also John. Let's see if this works now. And you can see that the credentials work really well. Let's go ahead and click on profile, and you can see even the email is mapped and even the website is mapped. So you have to understand which IDs should be entered in the form, and all those fields will be mapped to those IDs, right? Isn't it cool? We just created a new user, and you can share this URL with your friends or family. And since this is an Elementor Pro form, you can add a reCAPTCHA to it, and you can prevent spam user registrations. Also, as an admin, you can manage this, but you can make it even prettier. Let's do it the Elementor way. Let's change few things. Now the functionality is fine, but let's change it a bit. So I'll add a new column onto the left. I just want this widget onto the right. Here I'll add my logo. I'll drag an image, pick my logo from here, which is this. I'll adjust the size, I'll hit apply. I'll also drag in a heading widget under this. I'll center the text. I'll click on this column, and a vertical align, I'll just change it to middle. So all these will be moved onto the center. It looks a bit better. Let's also change the background. Let's change the background to a gradient one, just like that. Now it looks a bit better. I'll update this. Let's see how our register page will look like. I'll refresh it, and just like that. And I just want to stretch this to the full width of the page. So I'll change the section's height. Click on the section, go to layout. I'll change the height to fit to screen. I'll update. This is updated. Let's update this page as well. Now that looks really great. Now our registration form looks really great. It has our branding, all the colors and stuff that we want. Also, you can tweak this form using theme styles. So if you have theme styles enabled, this form will get all the styles from it. But I just want to show you how you can tweak Elementor Pro form using, or in this case, Elementor Pro form is acting as the register form. So I just want to show you how you can use CSS to tweak this form. So I'll just click on the form itself, click on the form, go to advanced. Under custom CSS, I'll add some CSS to tweak or style these fields. I'll say selector. Selector is a universal keyword which selects a widget, section, or a column based on where it's placed. And then since it's a form, I'll just say form. Let's change the width of the form to 70%. And just like that, it only occupies 70% of the width of its container, which in case is this column, always a column. You can also change it relative to the viewport. So you can say 70 VW, or let's say 30 VW. That way, it looks better. And you can also position it onto the left by using margin controls. This can also be done using the custom positioning features, but I'm just doing it with CSS just to show you. Maybe onto the left you can add a 20% space if you want. You can also add custom breakpoints and tweak various values, but I think this looks a bit better. You can also tweak the form fields. The tweaking of form fields can be done using theme styles. This is an Elementor Pro form, but form is an HTML tag. If you don't have selector here, if you remove it from here, it will basically target each and every form on the page. So that may screw up your website. So always use selector, or give a class name to this form under advanced and replace selector with dot class name. The same here, and then you can put this code anywhere you want, either at page level or even in the customizer area of your theme. Anyway, I'll say selector form, and now I just want to target all the input fields. I say input. Input is the HTML tag to target input fields. I'll just change the border radius just to make them rounded. So I'll add 100 pixels border radius. Now everything is changed except the button. I'll add a comma, and the button is essentially a button in a form. So I'll change this to button, and even the button is changed. So in order to target a button in Elementor Pro form, you have to enter selector space form space button. Let's also make this button a gradient button. So I'll just say selector form button. I'll add a background of linear gradient. I'll say 90 degrees, and just like that it becomes a gradient button, or maybe black and blue would be better. I think this is better. This is all our registration form. Remember, we're just styling our registration form. You can put any elements that add value. So intuitive. I think this would do. I'll just update it. Let's see our registration form again. I'll refresh this page. I'll see how that looks like. It looks really neat, right? In website URL and all that stuff. And this eye icon, let's say I'm typing a password. Even this is enabled by Dynamic plugin. So I can see what password I've typed. Click on this to hide it. Click on this to reveal my password. So that's really neat, just to verify what is the password that you're entering into this field. Now we're done with our registration form. Now after the form is submitted, I just want uh, the user to be presented with a graphical message saying, hey, whatever username he has registered, I just want to say welcome username, and then I just want to say your account is created, login, and I just want to show him a login button instead of redirect him directly to the dashboard. That would be a better user experience. So even you can do that with dynamic content for Elementor plugin. So click on content, and under actions after submit, click here, and there's something called message. So this message will allow you to either show him a message or even a template after the form is submitted. Isn't it cool? So I'll just design a template. Also, I'll go to message, I'll pick a template, I'll design a template and pick the template. Don't worry about that. Also, I'll just hide the form after the submission is done. I'll go to advanced, I'll copy the shortcode. You'll understand why I'm doing this. Now I've created a new page template. I want the page layout to be canvas again, so that will remove header and footer. All I want is a section, so I'll add a section. So within the section I want heading saying congrats, and then I'll just paste the shortcode. I'll get the shortcode of the username from here, which is this. I'll copy, I'll paste the shortcode, so it will say congrats whatever username, you are now registered, and I'll add a button below this text. I'll change the size to medium. I'll say login, and I'll change the link to the login page link. I think that looks better. I'll update this. So don't worry about the shortcode, it will be properly shown. Now I'll come back to the form. Under save, or sorry, under message, I'll pick a template, and the template name is congrats welcome page, so it's this one. I'll just update. Let's refresh this page again. I'll create a new user, and you see that here. Isn't it cool?